I think we're on.
Go ahead.
Let's go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of History in a Drink with Sean and...
I'm Frank.
Oh, hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of History in a Drink. I'm Sean. This is...
Frank. And tonight we're going to be learning about Eugenie Clark, one of our childhood heroes from here in Sarasota. And our drink tonight is going to be the shark bite. So when we were doing a little research about this, we found out that a local restaurant has their own version of this drink that they did for one of Marine's fundraisers. And they call it the Lady in Blue, and it became known as the Shark Lady. So we decided that we could make one that was as good, if not better, than theirs. So tonight's drink is shark bite, and so our first ingredients are going to be a spiced rum, and we're using the locally made Siesta Key spiced rum.
Oh, fantastic stuff. That's Troy over at Siesta Key Rum. He's one of the owner and the distiller there. Absolutely delicious stuff, and a great local treasure.
Exactly. So I'm putting in 3/4 of an ounce of the spice rum.
Okay.
Then you use a light rum, and so I'm going to use our favorite Pilar.
Papa Pilar. We did an episode all about that from down in Key West, Florida. That was absolutely delicious.
3/4 of an ounce of that as well.
Okay.
And then what makes it the ocean color blue is blue curacao. All right.
Delicious.
And you do a 1/2 ounce of blue curacao.
Whoa, almost that neon blue. You guys can take a look as we're stirring it up here. Look at that. Wow.
And then lime juice, and we have 1/2 ounce of lime juice in here.
Give it that kind of citrusy kind of a taste to it.
Exactly.
Delicious.
And then a little simple syrup to sweeten it up. And we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of that.
It's a fairly simple drink.
It is.
It is.
All right. Then shake it up. All right. So it's that nice blue color. Now, we're going to make it with our own little addition of mini Swedish fish.
And that was a throw out to, last week we talked about my son Jack, who turned 21. My youngest son Liam practically lives on Swedish fish. So this is a little throw out to you, Liam. We got our Swedish fish in our cocktail tonight. Those are our sharks in our shark bite.
Exactly. So,
cheers. Excellent. Cheers all.
Ooh, that's yummy.
That is good.
So, Eugenie Clark is one of the most famous scientists that worked down at Mote Marine, and she's really the lady who started the whole thing.
And now Mote Marine, once again, we talked about this season that we're actually doing something kind of fun. We're talking all about Florida history. And we started out our season with down in Key West, and we're kind of working our way north. We talked about Key West. The next episode we talked about the railroad and how those moved on up the coast. We talked about hurricanes.
Exactly, all across the state.
And our Florida riders that were down in Miami, all the way up into the Gulf Coast, even up into Sarasota and Tampa with Tim Dorsey.
Exactly.
And so now we've made our way actually to Sarasota. And so our hometown here, and that's we're talking about really a hometown treasure of Mote Marine Laboratory.
Exactly. And the next 3 weeks, including this week, we're going to be focusing on Sarasota, and we've got a couple other episodes to talk about some of the really fascinating things that made Sarasota the place that it is today.
Yep.
So Eugenie Clark, born in 1922, was way ahead of her time. When we look at women in that day, they really had the opportunity for only 2 or 3 different kinds of jobs, being a secretary, being a teacher, being a nurse. And she didn't fit that mold at all.
Or homemaker. I mean,
Exactly.
that's really, that was what most of it was, staying at home and being a wife.
Exactly. And that was not what she wanted to do. She went to the Natural History Museum in New York, one of the aquariums there, and just fell in love with the fish.
And she was born in New York.
Yes, in New York City.
Yep.
And what's interesting is her mom was Japanese and her dad was American, and her dad died when she was 2 years old. So her mom married another individual who was Japanese, and so she was raised in the white culture, but by a wealthy Japanese family.
Yeah.
She was the only girl in her class in Queens in high school that was Japanese American. And so she's just a unique individual.
Well, and also, too, I would think as well, I mean, we talk about, women in that day of age, but also, too, to throw into Japanese culture didn't really have a high level of respect for women of the day, I would have to say. So,
or in the 1940s when she's going to college.
Yeah.
World War II's going on, and
yeah.
the Japanese started it for us, and so all that stuff's going on.
Yeah.
Now, she graduated from Hunter College in 1942, and she went and did some research work at the University of Michigan Biological Station.
Now, she was always fascinated with fish. That was from the get-go. Looks like was her draw, and always wanted to be an ichthyologist.
Exactly, and that's what she became. So she got her undergrad degree in biology, and then she went and did her some research, as I said, at University of Michigan, and then she attempted to apply to Columbia University for her PhD program. And what was interesting is they rejected her.
Now, she was fantastic with her grades, fantastic with her knowledge.
Yep.
I mean, she was incredible things, but why did they reject her?
Because she was a woman, because they figured that she would end up getting married and she would drop out of the program and they would have wasted all that time educating her. Well, she spited them, and she went to New York University. She got her Master's of Arts in 1946, and then she got her Doctorate of Zoology in 1950. And then went from there. She did tons of research all over the country.
She was absolutely a research scientist. I mean,
exactly.
that was the gist of her job.
And she worked at Scripps. She was at Woods Hole in Massachusetts. She was at the Lerner Marine Lab in Bimini. So she was all over the place. But I think the one that really put her on the track to go where she was she got a research grant from the Office of Naval Research to go out to Micronesia.
Okay.
And so she went and looked at in Guam or Palau, the Marshall Islands, the North Carolinas, or the Carolines, and the Mariana Islands there. So she got to go and see all these tropical fish in their habitat. And she was one of the early pioneers to use scuba equipment for research purposes, not just for like salvage and that kind of stuff. She wanted to use it for research. So she's one of those pioneers, just like Jacques Cousteau and some of the
In fact,
other ones.
wasn't there something about her with an affair with Jacques Cousteau?
I don't know about that.
I made that up. I'm just kidding. Yes, that's not real.
Right.
That's not real.
Yeah. What are you doing? All right.
That's not real. Don't use that. Don't use that.
After doing that, she got a Fulbright, and she ended up going to Egypt and doing research in the Red Sea there. And that's where she became quite famous, because she wrote a biography of what was going on there, and it was titled The Lady with a Spear. And that is how she really became known as this expert on fish. So
And that was her first. That was her first
book.
Yeah.
All right. So, what I found fascinating is how she got here to Sarasota. Is a couple named Anne and William Vanderbilt, who lived down in Englewood, decided to bring her down to speak to the local schools down there.
And when is this?
This is 1960.
1960.
1954.
54. Okay, so
Right.
not quite until 1960s. Yeah.
Yep. So 1954, it comes down, and she's talking about her time at the Red Sea, and the kids and stuff were fascinated with it. And what they began to realize is a lot of similar species that she was learning about in the Red Sea lived in this area of Florida.
And I would think also too. I mean, with Englewood is a coastal, it's a fishing town. So I mean, it's a perfect place for her to be.
Yeah. So they were so enthralled that they were willing to fund her research, and they created what was known as Kate Hayes Marine Lab, and that was created in 1955. And it's in Placida, Florida, which is just a little bit over the line in Charlotte County.
Yep.
So she started down there, and she had one guy who worked with her, and his name was Beryl Chadwick, and he was just a local fisherman who really kind of specialized in catching sharks. And they got a grant from medical research for some information about sharks, and so they started doing biological, behavioral, anatomic studies on the sharks.
And great partnership. He would catch them, she would study them.
Exactly.
It would work out good.
And while she was in Egypt, she discovered a fish that has a natural shark repellent, and it's called the Moses sole. And so that really piqued her interest at that point in sharks. So I think then we just see that natural progression to there. So she worked at the Cape Hayes laboratory, which eventually moved to Siesta Key in 1960.
And for those of you in Sarasota, where it actually moved was just off of where Turtle Beach is now. The Turtle Beach access is basically right behind that on the bay side.
Yeah, when I first came down here, my wife had told me about going and seeing the old tanks that were there and stuff like that. So they moved to Siesta Key. In 1966, she decided that she was going to go and be a professor. And she started at the City University of New York. And then 2 years later, she moved to the University of Maryland at College Park. And she was there from 1968 to 1999. And while there, she earned 3 fellowships, 5 different scholarships to go to different places in the world, and then 6 medals for her research and stuff like that.
Man, what a good thing that that school didn't give her a scholarship there, because she was just going to waste it away. Huh?
Right, exactly. She's written, I think it's close to 200 articles, published articles about the things that she has studied. And she focused on sharks, and then she focused on another group of fish that I can't pronounce the order of. And
especially after a couple of shark bites.
Exactly. But the one that you guys would know that's in that family is the sunfish, or the mola mola, I think is
the big giant ones that are in the middle of the ocean.
It's got 2 big fins on the top, or one on the top, one on the bottom.
Yeah. And
it's just kind of an odd looking fish, but it's part of the family of fish that she researched. In 3 species from that order are named after her as well, as well as one of the members of the squalus family, which are sharks, and it's the dogfish. It's called the genie. It's also known as the genie's dogfish. So, in 1999, when she retired, she decided that she was going to come back here and work at Mote Marine. So Cape Hayes had changed its name roughly the 1960s, I believe, to Mote Marine after 3 individuals who gave a large sum of money and provided them to move from Siesta Key to City Island, where they are now today.
So even after she left, it stayed as a research facility.
Exactly.
And then changed its name to Mote Marine, and then moved to City Island.
Exactly. And it is grown and is world renowned for the research it does. Here it is a magnificent opportunity for our children in this area to be able to go and volunteer. Sean's son Liam volunteers there.
And actually, it's a little bit of a family history too, because when I was in between, when I graduated high school, the summer between I graduated and started college, I actually went and volunteered for a summer, and we mapped the entire grass flats out behind Mote Marine and where it was, and I remember that fondly. And now my son volunteers every Saturday out in the Mammal Research Center. Liam does, working for that. So it's a great local treasure.
Yeah, and it's grown leaps and bounds. They
tremendous.
built an aquarium there. They have the Mammal Research Center. Yeah. They do rehab on lots of animals. We see them going and getting manatees and specifically sea turtles a ton.
And for those people in Sarasota, like my son, for instance, he's a senior in high school. He's extremely interested and wants to actually go into marine biology. To have this resource in his backyard is just absolutely amazing. You know, we get people volunteering and coming from really all over the country to be part of this. To have this in our backyard is just amazing.
Yeah, and Mote Marine has expanded since then. Yeah. It has a facility down in Boca Grande. It has a facility on Summerlin Key, and a public area in Key West that you can go and see some of the research they're doing. Because down in the Keys, what they're doing is working with coral down there for growth. And it's really kind of fascinating the last time we were down there to go and see what they were doing. Yeah. And then they have one other facility here in Sarasota out east where they are raising sturgeon and other fish.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a neat.
It's neat because they not
opportunity.
only look at sharks, they look at really the whole environment, but they also look at, like with the particular thing with sturgeon, they're looking at the economic
Yeah.
piece of having, our fisheries and what they do. And
Right.
stuff, so.
And one of the things that they're working with at my school at Riverview is with our marine science program, we have an aquaculture program, and so we raise fry of snook, and to a certain point we tag them and then we release them out into the bay so that we can track them and stuff like that. And it's really a cool opportunity for the students at my school to do that because they're actually doing the type of work that real researchers do to find that.
This would be college level and graduate level stuff they're doing in high school.
Exactly. And the work that they put out, their research and stuff like that is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Riverview does sometimes during the school year, we have an open house where you can come and see that. And we have what's called the Stars to Starfish program, where we have our planetarium and our aquadome, and they do a program for the little kids in the elementary schools, and you can kind of see what they do with Moat Marine, and students lead the whole thing.
That's awesome.
So it's great to see how Moat and how Eugenie Clark really kind of changed this area and brought all of this research for us. Because I know when I was a kid, a book by Anne McGovern called The Shark Lady came out, and I can't tell you how many times I read that book.
Yeah.
And at one point I wanted to do marine science as well.
Yeah.
But so it's just.
And Eugenie Clark went on to write another book too, actually, The Lady and the Sharks, which we have a copy of it here. So actually a signed copy to one of our local guys around here.
Yeah. So she is a pretty incredible woman here
Yeah.
in Sarasota. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2015, but she had a wonderful life that was really devoted towards research and making the idea that sharks are not negative, because
Yeah.
her book came out a little bit before Peter Benchley's book Jaws, which then just kind of killed the shark industry,
Right.
or increased it, because then we started hunting them and we were
Yeah.
fearful of them and stuff like that, when in reality
Especially he's got Spielberg's movie into it, then it's just all
exactly
craziness, so.
especially since we're in their environment, they're
Yeah.
not in our environment unless it's a tornado.
Yeah. Shark or Sharknado. So it would be, yeah.
Exactly. All right. So that's what we've got this week
Yep.
for it. Now, we've got a kind of a contest for you guys out there. So we made our shark bite drink, which we think is better than what you can get at the local restaurant. So what we want to do is anybody who hosts a party, to a watch party of this episode or any of our other episodes as well, can get their name put into a drawing for a gift certificate to go, and you come here, you try our drink.
Yeah. So basically what you do is to host that party. So you've got all our videos that have been saved through our website. Have some friends come over, have some dinner, make our drink that we're making that night with us. Sit around the table, have a little party, and watch and learn a little bit about history of what we've done of this one or any of them in the past.
Mm-hmm. Just invite Sean and I to the party.
Yeah.
You can do that virtually. We won't show up at everybody's house.
I might.
All right?
I might.
He
I don't
might.
know.
School's killing me. So I
Yeah,
won't.
exactly.
But then we'll, at the beginning of our next episode, we'll put everybody's name in a hat, and then we'll draw it out and say who our winner is. All right? And then we will give you a gift certificate as well to go to the restaurant and try their drink. And you can see how much better ours is.
And also, too, come to have an episode with us here in the Wrecking Bar where
Exactly.
we're at now. And try ours. Sit here for an episode. We can talk about it and see which one is better.
Yeah.
So you get a double whammy out of it.
So we thought that would be a great way for you guys to share out our videos and give you a little incentive to do that.
Yep.
So we will see you next week. And
Yep.
next week we are going to be talking about a guy named Warren G. Harding and a place called the Winter White House.
And a tag with him with John Ringling, somebody that Sarasota knows very well.
Exactly.
And Owen Burns, he's in there too. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're all in there.
So we will see you next week. I hope you enjoy your week and have another shark bite on us.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
All right.